So to all the designers out there, I'm sure you know what happened to the company Xiaomi about a month ago. They did a new release of their new logo, and they did it at a conference. They had like a 20-minute slot, and it was a bit underwhelming. To designers, they raged. It was actually a disaster, because the thing is with design, when we look from the outside, we don't understand the context, right? We just see a logo or a new designer change it, we're like, oh, that's crap, or this is bad, but we're not the one designing it. We're not the one with the context on the concept, etc. So never judge from the outside without understanding first the problem that we're trying to solve and the context of everything as a whole. At the end of the day, when it comes to designing a brand, especially a big one, you need to think about brand equity. Sometimes it's actually not good to design a logo and completely flip it. For example, for big brands like Nike, Apple, or Microsoft, if they change their logo right overnight to something completely different, like flip the colors and did a whole different mark, it actually can have a negative impact or a negative effect instead of a positive one, right? So because of brand equity, because they've built those memory associations in the mind of the consumer for years and years and years, it stays in their mind. So for all of a sudden to just like flip it, it can actually have a bad effect, right? So just keep that concept in mind. But if we go to the actual blog here this is on Creative Block, but they literally changed the logo from a square to basically a half square, more rounded off, right? And the whole concept was about being alive, being more free-spirited, movement and stuff like that. So it was designed by Kenya Hara, a Japanese designer, and he starts to break down the logo in this video, which I think is like really cool. So he starts talking about like how they mathematically rounded off the corners and came up with all these different iterations of it, and they just like decided to pick the one that felt the best. And because this company is like one of the biggest Chinese electronic companies, they sell phones and a whole bunch of stuff, they need to keep the logo pretty simple, and they have to make it pretty similar to what they already have. I do think that like the logo they could have added a bit more, like maybe customize the MI a little bit more instead of just like rounding it, or add some personality, because it just still feels a bit like bland. But like if it works, it works, right? But the thing is, the logo was probably the most minimal thing that was changed. But everything else, like they would have changed the messaging or brand guidelines and banners and social media and all these other areas when we think about it. And if you just go through the presentation, you can watch the video on your own. He talks about this concept of like being alive and movement and organic waves and stuff. And the thing is, when you're presenting to a big company or a big brand, you need to show logic. It's like, how did you come up with this? What's your thinking? Show your thinking. And you can apply that same idea into your client projects, right? So, this was the Xiaomi's, logo reveal. And the thing is, the concept, the main takeaway I want you to understand is that sometimes it's better to have evolution, not revolution. Revolution is doing a 180, flipping the system and completely shifting and transforming everything. But when it comes to design or creation, sometimes evolution, which is a small change or a small step forward, is the better bet. And that's typically what you want with a bigger brand. You want to just have an evolution, a small step, a small change that's not going to ultimately impact your customers and the perception they see your brand. And this is why I feel like, it was fine. The logo was fine, but we need to look at the big picture and see what really why they made these decisions. But overall, I think it's all right. I reckon they could have done a bit better, but at the end of the day, he got paid $300K, so they're happy. Everybody's happy. But anyway, that's my reaction to the Xiaomi logo. But I hope you guys enjoyed this. Hope you enjoyed these thoughts. When we think about design and branding, let me know in the comments below if you want to see more designer react videos, because I'm here for you guys and I want you to be entertained and educated on design and branding. Remember to smash that like button and the subscribe button, because I do videos every week and I'm here to help you grow as a graphic designer. Thanks so much for listening. I will chat to you in the next video.